Now, if you're like me, Pokemon 151 is probably the most nostalgic set for you if you grew up watching it in the early 2000s or even the late 90s. Now, Pokemon was massive back then, but it is nothing like the scale it is now. When we look at Pokemon 151, it's also the set that brought a lot of people back to actually collecting Pokemon cards. Not only that, but anyone that's kind of gotten into the hobby since then has probably referred back to 151 becoming their favorite set because of the artworks, the original Pokemon that we all grew up with and loved, and a whole bunch more. And that's causing the prices on these cards and also the sealed boxes to absolutely skyrocket. So today we're going to be going through a bunch of the 151 products and also some of the card artworks to have a look at just how crazy some of the movements have been in their pricing. Now, before we do get started, I want to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor, which is sushigrade.net. Now, I spoke about these guys in my last video in terms of how they can help you with your grading plays, but they can also help you with pre-grading because they do offer a free centering tool where you can upload the photo of one of your cards and you can adjust the lines to where the centering is on your actual card's photo and see if it will score a 10. The website will actually tell you roughly how close to a 10 you are, and if you're at a 9 or a 10 or wherever it might sit on the centering tool. And then if you guys want to get the paid version as well, it can give you plenty of opportunities to look for grading plays in the market to get yourself the most profit out of grading those cards. So if you want to check them out, they're down in the description below. I hope you guys enjoy having a look at that. I've loved using it so far. And with that said, thank you again to sushigrade.net for sponsoring today's video. Now, starting off with the Elite Trainer box, this is the Pokemon Center Elite version. This was always going to go for a lot of money, but it has been exploding as of late. In the last 3 months, it's up 93%. Now, previously, this box was $494 about 3 months ago. Now, $959. This is almost $1,000 ETB, which to me is wild. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure this is the most expensive Pokemon Center ETB that we have because the, I guess, Pokemon Center promo cards, the stamped promo cards, only started happening in the Scarlet and Violet era, and that's caused boxes like this to absolutely explode. So if you're able to get the Snorlax card with the Pokemon Center stamp on it, that's going to be huge. But again, keeping one of these sealed is going to be the long-term investment play if you're wanting to get the most bang for buck out of these products. Next up is the regular ETB, which is sitting at $404 right now for market price. This 3 months ago was $242. So it's up 62%, not quite as much as the Pokemon Center ETB, but I think everyone sort of thought the Pokemon Center ETB would reprint, but then it didn't. And then we got some of the regular ETBs back in stock a little while ago, and now they've just completely disappeared off shelves. So that's kind of why everything is skyrocketing from the sealed product perspective. The last sealed product we're going to talk about is the UPC. I've been lucky enough to open one of these. I remember the first time opening this, I actually pulled the Zapdos SIR, which is still my favorite card in 151. I've actually still got it in my collection as well in my PC. So for me, this product is really cool, as well as the Mew and Mewtwo promos that you get with this. I still have those in my collection too. So this is just a really cool product for me. But I do wish I had one sealed still because it is going for 600 USD right now. Whereas a couple of months ago, you could have picked it up for around $386. And if you go back a year, you could have picked it up even cheaper. If we have a quick look at what last year's price on this would have been, if you picked this up in September last year, so 12 months ago, it was 146 USD. Which is pretty much what I picked mine up for when I got back into the hobby right around October last year, maybe even November last year. So I got a pretty good price right before it went up, but it's up 307% in the last 12 months, which is not something to be snarled at. Now, let's take a look at some of the cards because this is realistically what people love for the most part. Some people do love collecting sealed, but I know it's not for everyone. Now, the cards, the Sunzard, the Charizard SIR, everybody's favorite, is up 58%, sitting at $308 market price right now. This one has gone up just under 60% in the last 3 months. You could have got this for about 180 bucks back in end of June, early July. So it has gone up a bit. I've got a couple of these. I have one graded in a 9 right now and one raw. So again, I'm going to work to trade those towards getting myself a copy in a 10. Jumping over to the Zapdos EX, this has been the biggest riser, I believe, out of all of the 151 cards, and I'm so glad that that is happening. I've always said this is the best artwork in 151. Hands down, this is the best artwork. This has been my favorite card from day dot. I feel like the fact that I pulled it probably makes it even more special. I've pulled Charizards and I've pulled Venusaurs as well, but like, I don't know, it was something about seeing the artwork on this card in person for the first time to me that made it really my favorite card. Just seeing all three legendary birds in one artwork was so cool to me. So this one's actually up 101%. The market price is now $95, but again, it has pumped lately. So it was $57 sort of at the end of August, $60. Now it's 95. It has had a lot sold recently between $60 and $100. So that price is climbing. But to be honest, I thought it was undervalued in the first place. The fact that the Blastoise and the Venusaur were higher in value than this previously always confused me because I think this is the better card out of those three. Speaking of the Blastoise though, this one is up 34%, so not as big a gain, but still definitely on the rise. $82 market price right now. And then the Venusaur is up 46%, sitting just under $80. Now, completing this trio and hanging on to them for a long period of time is probably only going to increase in value. If you can get these in 10s, then you're in luck because I feel like once 151 dries up and people start to hold on to it, the prices on these, they're just going to go through the roof. The 151 set is too popular, too nostalgic. It's got too many cool artworks. It's got all the right things for a good set that when 151 disappears and stops getting restocked and people are finding it hard to find at card shows or online or wherever it might be that they buy their products from, I think these cards are just going to go ballistic. Another one that's super underrated, the Alakazam SIR, $53 right now. Sorry, $55 market price right now. This one is starting to see an upswing. 48% increase. This used to be a $35 card, which again, I always thought was quite low because I do really like the Alakazam artwork on here. But this is going to be a $100 card at some point. It's easily going to be a $100 card. I think all of these SIRs break $100 in the near future. The ones that I'm not so sure on, this Pikachu has been going crazy lately. It's up 97%, only just lower than the Zapdos increase. But again, huge, I mean, what looks like a buyout when it was at $30, pumping it up to 48 now, which again, for the more popular IRs that are not as hard to pull as like some of these special illustration rares, I think $47, $50 is a pretty reasonable price for them. I just think that if they're going to do crazy things like the Magikarp, I don't really know if this Pikachu does it for me to be as expensive as something like the Magikarp. But, you know, it could be one of those things where people just keep buying it and buying it and buying it, and they fall into the FOMO and everyone just picks it up and the price just skyrockets. So I don't know. Looking at the Bulbasaur, that's up 45% right now, sitting at $43 market price. This one's just been consistent all the way through, and then it had a couple of big days. So the fact that it's shown some consistent sales here tells me that it is worthy of the price increase. Now sitting at $43, up 45% is pretty good. I think the Charmander and the Squirtle were both around 20% up in the last 3 months. So they are slowly moving up too, but just not as much as some of these other cards. So War Turtle had a decent buyout between August 3rd and August 5th, but it's shown somewhat of a little bit of consistency over the last few months. So now sitting at $30. Back then it was $26. So this one hasn't really gone crazy, but the price for this to begin with was a little bit cheaper as well. It's interesting that this Charizard is actually more expensive than some of the other illustration rares. I know that it's Charizard and you kind of have the Charizard tax on this one, but it's up 26% sitting at $30. But I think a much nicer card is the Dragonair illustration rare. This card is sick. Like if you were to ask me for an awesome Dragonair artwork and to create it, they've nailed this. This is exactly what I would want in an illustration rare for Dragonair. It just looks super elegant. The colors are really nice. The actual illustration itself is really, really cool. And again, Dragonair is a fan favorite Pokemon. Everyone loves Dragonair, Dragonite, that whole evolution line, except maybe now Mega Dragonite. I know a lot of people don't like that. But the Dragonair is just really, really cool. And this reminds me of some of the OG Dragonair cards from back in the day that I used to have, but this is just like a full art version. So I'd really rate this. I think it's undervalued. I think this will be a $50 card in the near future as well. But I just don't know why this hasn't gotten more attention from the beginning with how good it looks. Same sort of story here with the Poliwhirl. Such a cool artwork. I know Poliwhirl's like not as popular of a Pokemon, but the artwork is gorgeous. Like the puddles on the ground, the reflections from the lights in the city behind him. It just looks really, really nice to me. And I don't know why, again, like this one hasn't got more attention from the beginning, but it has been going up. So 28%, it had a bit of a spike between, I guess, the start of July and the end of July. Through August, it's kind of held steady, and into September, it's kind of held steady at around about $20. But again, it's still on the increase. So I feel like this has a little bit more of a ways to go, maybe like a $40 card by the time this is done. But I still think all of these cards are going to continue to just increase in value. So if you haven't already, make sure you start to pick up some 151, because trust me, you're going to kick yourself if you don't do it soon. I think with the way that Pokemon is going, 151 is just going to continue and continue. It's just going to keep going up, man. So let me know your thoughts on this. I'm going to wrap up the video there. Thank you again to sushigrade.net for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys next time.